You're listening to the Raw Reality Podcast hosted by Tori Story and Fit with Lily. Hello guys and welcome back to the Raw Reality Podcast. It is Tori here and I miss you guys so much. Lily and I have been back to back at the moment with so much going on, but you're going to get all the updates next week and we cannot wait to just share it all with you. For this week's episode, we have pulled some pockets of, or snippets, I should say, of recent episodes we've done with some guests and also a solo one of Lily and I. And honestly, we just felt like these needed to be heard again. And like I said, we've just pulled little snippets from the episodes that you guys need to hear. And I know we'll take so much from it again today, even if you have listened to the episode before, but it might just spike something different. And I always find I'll save the episodes that I love and go back and listen twice or third time, and I get something so different from the first time. So hopefully this happens for you as well. But the first episode we have is number 79 with Alexz, who is the founder and owner of Hustle, the Pilates studio and app. The studio's on the Gold Coast, and she is just absolutely phenomenal, has had an incredible journey, and she speaks a lot on in this snippet, she speaks on a breakup and mental health, which is just super powerful. The next little segment we have episode number 76 with Chloe Bromage and the Queen of Confidence. Again, just really diving into some values from her episode. Third one, we've got 108. This was with Lily and I, all things self-belief, self-sabotage, and being intentional. This was a great episode and it just needs to be heard again. Fourth one, we have number 96 with the one and only Steph Claire Smith. Again, you guys may or may not have listened to her episode. If you haven't, highly recommend. But we've just pulled a little beautiful snippet from this that we believe so many people need to hear. And lastly is 111 with Georgie Stevenson, going about manifesting angel numbers and just being intentional with setting goals and all the things. So please listen into this episode. Even if you have listened to these episodes with the guests, I highly recommend listening to this and maybe even going back to a certain guest episode depending on how it lands with you. But we love you guys so much and we will be straight back in your ears next week with all the updates from both Lily and I. But enjoy the episode.
How someone treats you, whether it's your relationship, your boss, anything like that, has literally nothing to do with you. The only thing that has to do with you is what did that bring up in you? Yeah. How did their actions, how did their behavior make you feel? That's your bullshit. You go sit in that. How they treated you, it doesn't matter. That is them, that is their behavior. You can't do anything about that. You can't be held accountable for that. You can't sit there and just wonder. It doesn't matter. Focus on what it brought up. Be grateful for the triggers. Learn the lessons. Close the curtains. Rehearsal is done.
I love your analogy. Yeah, wow. Well, you're just a powerhouse, and I just
I'm not!
Yes, you are. But I love the way that you've put that, and I think, Lil, with you going through your breakup last year, there's been a lot of questions around the relationships and breakups and stuff like that. Is there any advice you would give someone who may be in a similar situation or who's just come out of a long-term relationship in terms of, I guess, moving forward and, putting that to bed, I guess?
Oh my God, what camera is like looking directly at someone?
That one right there.
Oh my God. If I could hold you, I would hold you so tight. It is the worst thing. Heartbreak is the worst thing. I've never gone through such a bad heartbreak. To be honest, I never had sympathy until this heartbreak. The only way to get through it is to sit in it. You need to just sit in it. You need to cry like a psycho. You need to just feel all the emotions. Go into your toxic girl era. Let all of it come up. Do not judge yourself. Do the healing. Otherwise, it's going to repeat itself. And slow down. There's no correct time to recover. The longer you take to just sit with yourself and be with it, the stronger you will get. Slow down. Be with it. Sit in it. It's going to be uncomfortable. But I love you.
Oh, you're going to make me cry. That was such a good message. I love that. Well, okay. There's nothing else that needs to be said about that. Done. Period. Moving on. I really want to touch on mental health. I know you're a big mental health advocate, and I think I'm not even sure when and how I came across your page, but I remember that being a big part and something that I related to so much. Would you mind, I guess, touching on that and where, I guess, your journey began within that and kind of how you've navigated it?
Okay, love it.
Strap in.
Love to share a little bit of my psycho. So I grew up really weird, as And I grew up on a piece of land with no electricity. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup. I was like, grew up very raw. And while everyone else was, you know, on MSN, I was doing like a meditation intensive. Like I grew up very different. And so I've always been really in touch with my emotions from a very young age. And I've always, you know, when I was younger, I literally hated my mom for this. And now I feel so grateful to have these coping skills. But before mental illness was, and I hate to say it's a trending thing, and I don't mean a trending as in people are only talking about it because it seems cool. I think it is a trending thing and people are feeling more able to talk about it because more people are talking about it.
Yes.
So before it was a common thing to speak about, I decided that I was going to be completely vulnerable and talk about my struggles with anxiety on a blog.
Yes. Yeah, the blog.
And I have always really loved writing. Like I love writing and I love, you know, depth through words and these kinds of things. And I had, and I still do struggle with anxiety, but I had a really bad run with anxiety. And I was like, you know, self-inflicting pain on myself and, you know, very suicidal. And it was just constant. And I guess because I grew up in a way that I wasn't ashamed to share my emotions. Like that was never something that I was brought up to feel ashamed of. It came very natural to write about. And the blog, now that I think about this, I'm like, whoa. I was like, took all this really beautiful imagery of like literally me naked. Like I think I was 20 or something. This was what, 13 years ago. And I was so raw on this blog, like so vulnerable, so raw. I like wrote about how I hated feeling this way, how I would hurt myself, all of these things. And it started to become like a diary for me. The response that I got was absolutely insane. Like I have never, and that's like when I started realizing like, whoa, there's a lot of power on social media. Yeah. And the response that I got was so overwhelming. I was not expecting that at all. And like the heaviness, like when you speak about a heaviness within you, it attracts someone to be open about the heaviness within them, which is amazing. But when you are also still figuring out how you are navigating through your own stuff, it's a lot. And so I kept writing on the blog and I kept sharing about things. And then I realized it's too much. Like I can't deal with these suicidal people when I am not even feeling stable myself.
It's a lot to hold, yes.
A lot to hold.
When you're also going through it.
Yeah. And I'm so empathetic and like I just like can feel people's energy and it was just too much. And then I was like, but I love that way that I was connecting with people. So then I was like, what can I do that is more superficial and less overwhelming to interact with people, but I can still bring in the mental health side of things. And that was when I decided to combine health and fitness together. Yeah. So before I started Hustle, I actually had something called the Bare Balance. So weird. And that was like what my classes were called in the studios, like the community halls. So basically it was, you know, balancing the struggle between being vulnerable and being strong. So when I would do the classes with the girls, I was always very open. Like this morning I woke up and like, I feel like I'm literally going to have a heart attack. I can't breathe, all of these things. Like I've always been very transparent. And then, you know, the girls started talking about they're crazy too. And then guess what? You're not crazy anymore. Like you're in a room, you're all normal. Your heart is about to come out of your chest. You haven't been able to get out of your bed because you have chronic fatigue. And little miss over here hasn't eaten in 7 days. The only one that's crazy in the room is the girl that's not speaking up. So it became really empowering. And then I started to do all of these little circles where I used to talk to people and do manifesting workshops, and it just evolved from there.
She's a woman of many talents.
Wow, there is so much intertwining.
Clever girls, clever. Maybe not with math.
No, we don't need math.
Big first question. What would you tell your younger self?
Oh my God, there's so many things. I think the first thing that actually came to my head was stop caring what boys think. I think if I think about it in high school, or even like what other people think, you know, I think a lot of the choices that I made in high school and then even in like my late teens, early 20s was so much for other people. And I think if I could go back, I'd be like, what do you want to do? Every single step of the way. What do you want to wear? What do you want to say? And like, even though it's quite basic, I think majority of people still go through their life doing things that other people want them to do, not what they want to do. I am someone that, funny, we talked about the emotional side of complication. When it comes to my work, I very much do not complicate anything, which is why I feel that I was able to move so quickly. And it offends some people when I say this, but I don't ask a lot of questions. I'm like, what is required of me? What do I need to do? Cool, I'm going to go do that. And then what's the next thing? I don't always look for, you know, everyone's like, look at your 5-year vision. I don't have a fucking 5-year vision. I never have. And I don't think I ever will.
Say that.
Because even like 12 months ahead, every single thing that I've ever achieved in my life has never been planned, ever.
Yeah.
And so I think on one hand, whether it be your health and fitness, financial goals, you know, for instance, we're about to buy another house, things like that, like those make sense to plan ahead for. But for me personally, it's like, I could never have planned for anything significant that's happened in my life. So for me, it's like I'm a fast action taker. I'm like, yep, what do I need to do? So yes, it moved very quickly, but then also I feel like there was a lot of groundwork that I did before, prior just to the emotional stuff that allowed me to be able to handle all of the fast moving, if that makes sense.
Okay, so kind of still going into confidence.
Yeah.
What are your biggest tips for confidence, do you think? Especially for younger girls who are roughly in their 20s.
Yeah.
It can be such a hard thing to build up, especially as you're finding yourself. Because you're gone from like school where everyone's the same, you're taught the same thing, you're almost taught to be like
Robots,
right? Then you go
You're
to
not
university.
allowed to express yourself.
No.
I
or
always
what you
say,
want.
and Tori and I speak about this, from 18 to 21, we changed a little bit, but 21 to 23, holy shit, I'm a whole different
Oh my
person.
God.
Me
Yeah.
too.
What do you think are the biggest tips to help confidence?
It's hard because it's actually very, very simple. Make a promise to yourself and keep it every single day, no matter what it is. And this is this whole idea that I actually say, like, integrity is the foundation of confidence, because the reason that people aren't confident is because they don't trust themselves. And the way that I like to look at it is, if you promised your best friend that you're going to be there at 6 a.m. and you rocked up at 9 a.m., she's probably going to be really pissed at you. But if you say to yourself, I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. and then you wake up at 9 a.m., you're not pissed at yourself. You're just making an excuse. But either or, I'm probably not going to trust that my friend's going to rock up at my house again if she does it multiple days in a row, right? There's a lack of trust between me and that person. People don't look at their relationship with themselves enough like it sounds a bit silly, but like a two-person thing. It's like, I need to be honest with myself like I'm another person. I need to be truthful with myself like I'm another person. So majority of the time when people tell me they lack confidence, it's because it's basic. It's the everyday life stuff. Oh, I was going to wake up when my alarm and I didn't. I told my boyfriend I was going to have I told my friends I was going to have a hard conversation with my partner and I didn't. I said that I was going to start the business and I didn't. It's all the small stuff, but we forget the small stuff is the stuff that compounds over time. And so the thing is, people expect this like confidence to come from, again, with women, it's the makeup, it's the fake boobs, it's the hair, it's the Botox. And as a disclaimer, I don't think that there's anything wrong with those things if it comes from a desire that you actually just want to do them.
Yeah,
I believe that as a woman,
100%.
you can do whatever the hell it is that you want to do. But 9 times out of 10, people do all of those external things because they think, oh yeah, it'll change me, I'll feel better. And every single client that I've ever had that's had a boob job, that's had certain external things done, is like, why do I still hate myself? And I'm like, yeah, because you haven't worked on the internal stuff every single time.
I have that conversation with women on the weekly, like
Yes.
all the time. And it's also, I was like driving the car yesterday and I was like, okay, let's say you're in a full-time 9-to-5 job. You have someone telling you what to do every single day. No matter how unmotivated you are, no matter how much you don't want to do it, whatever mood you're in, you still have to do those tasks. When you get home, why are you still not doing what you said you're going to do? You listen to your boss, but you're not going to listen to yourself.
Yes.
But if anything, yourself is way more important to listen to.
Absolutely.
And you're just proving to yourself that you fail each time.
Yes.
And it's like, when you get to that point where you're like, fuck, I'm actually not going through with these things, then scale it back. And it's like, well, fuck, do I make my bed every morning? Do I get up and do my skincare properly every morning? Like, scale it back that small to then build.
Yes.
Before-
Yeah, because people always jump to level 100.
Yeah.
It's like, if you genuinely, and there's plenty of, when that's one thing I used to say and I still do, is like, majority of women's Roman Empire is to lose weight.
Yeah.
And so it's like, this is why people that want to lose weight, they're like, oh, cool, how can I lose it the fastest? It's like, okay, let's look at it again. A marathon, not a sprint. It's exactly the same. Strip it back. And that's why it makes sense that the most disciplined people are usually the most confident. They're people that can set in boundaries. They're people that can say no. They're people that can stand up for themselves. And I think that's another piece to the confidence part as well. I feel very comfortable to have extremely hard conversations in my life with my friends, with my partner, with my own family. And as much as it's extremely hard, this is the thing where people think about confidence. It's like, oh, I'm just going to wake up one day and it's like this magic dress that I put on. No. It's created through the things that you do. So the first 3 times I had a hard conversation, oh my God, I was like sweating. I'm like shaking. Whereas now I can have one. It's not a problem. The first time I went on a podcast, I was freaking panicking. Now I'm chilling. Yeah. So it's just, you've got to, it's like you do the reps to get the confidence. And it's the fast-paced society we live in tells us we can have it now. But it's the human way. Oh, okay, well, I either want to be like you and I don't want to admit that to myself.
Yeah.
I would ever, so let me just tear you down instead because that's the easy. And it's the easier option. I'm like, hating is easier. Pessimism is easier. Because I don't know, I don't think I've met, and to be fair, like putting it out there, we live in Australia. We're one of the most privileged people in the world. However, I have not met one person in life that hasn't gone through the shit of their own. And I actually laugh when people are like, oh, you just don't know what it's like. How would you know? How would you know
Have
that?
you heard my story?
Yeah.
From like literally day 1 to now?
Yeah, and there's plenty of things I don't share on the internet that I don't need to though, because I don't play victim to my own story. Yeah. What would playing victim to your own, how does that get you anywhere? I can sit in the corner and have a sook about all the things that happened when I was a child, but then I'd still be sitting in the corner as an adult having a sook, and that doesn't benefit me. And I think, some people, it's like, it's addicting though. You know, like positive energy is addicting, so is negativity. And I think
1000%.
I would argue it's more addicting. That's why people love drama. That's why they love hate.
Yeah.
Promised to myself that I would never hide anything about myself. Like I have literally been quote unquote materialistic since I was like came out the womb. Like there's photos of me and like I've got matching pink sparkly shoes with feather boas, and I used to cry if my on the way to preschool if my like outfit didn't match. Like when I tell you I've been this way always, like I literally been this way always. But again, societal thing, family, whatever it may be for you, people project. It's like, well, if you lack this, it's because of X, Y, and Z. And what I've learned as a woman too, people put women in a this or this category instead of this and a this. So you can be pretty or you can be smart. You can be successful or you can be pretty. You can be whatever it may be. When it's like, when I embraced, why can't I be an and? So why can't I be successful and materialistic? And why can't I be fit and also eat the foods that I desire? Why can't, and the minute that I was like, I get to be an and, not an or, my life changed.
Let's kind of talk about self-belief going off the back of being intentional with what you do. You have to be delusional in the way that you plan your goals.
Okay, so I got really excited in our meeting because
This is why.
Yeah,
this is what
so
came up.
our manager Amelia, some of you might have met her at the event. She's absolutely amazing, and we were kind of. I think when Lily and I get on a roll, we're like 100 miles an hour. We're listing all our goals. And I noticed like at one point, like you're like, write this down, do that. And I'm like, what about this? And I could just picture Amelia just sitting there going like, these girls are like on. Like they are moving and they are seeing, like I think the event just like solidified that we can do this.
Yeah.
Not that we ever didn't think we could, but it was just like, okay.
Sometimes you need proof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've always backed ourselves in, but that was just like that push that we needed. And so Amelia was literally just sitting there. She was like, you have to be delulu about your goals. And I like left that meeting, I was thinking about it and I was like, we can literally achieve anything that we want if it's like, if we decide to go for it. Yeah. Like there is absolutely no reason why we can't achieve a certain goal.
Mm-hmm. And go above and beyond that goal. They always say, set realistic expectations for yourself so you can achieve them. And I completely understand where you're coming from in terms of like, you do need to set achievable goals. Equally, you need to set crazy goals. Okay, let's kind of move into self-sabotage.
Yeah.
I've had this conversation with multiple people this week, more so like clients than anything. A lot of the time, we are our harshest critics and we're actually stopping ourselves from getting where we want to be. We're like, okay, but what happens if I fail? What happens if you fail? Probably nothing.
You just keep going.
You keep going. What's the word? It's like rejection is just redirection. And that's literally what it is. If you constantly think, what if I'm going to fail? What if I can't do it? What if I'm not good? You're already putting that belief out there. So naturally, your actually subconscious is going to act on that. You're not going to be able to achieve those dreams. You're not actually going to be able to achieve that goal because subconsciously, you're constantly looking for the negatives. And we are actually wired as humans to look for the safer option, to look for the negative option because our body doesn't want to be put in uncomfortable situations. Our body wants to be safe. We're going to go for the safe option. And then you kind of self-sabotage in a way because you're like, oh, like that would be cool, but this is easier. I'm just going to like stay here. You need to constantly feel uncomfortable, push yourself out there. And if you feel like it's a risk, then take it.
I think failure is another word that society is demonized.
Yeah.
Because failure means you've failed. Failure means you haven't succeeded. Failure means you're not good enough. For me, and I think Stephen Bartlett's like played a huge role in this as well, is like, I want to fail. Like, I want to actually push myself so far that I fail and then I figure that out and then I push again and then I succeed, or I fail 3 times and then I succeed at the end of that. And I think being an elite athlete and my acro career has showed me a lot of like, you know, I aimed for worlds and then I broke my shoulder and then I aimed for worlds again and then my partner quit and then I aimed for worlds and then I got sick and then I aimed for worlds and I missed. You know, like there was always blocks in the road and there was always like a reason for me to give up.
I have a question.
Yeah.
2 questions.
Okay.
And it may not be able to think of it now because I can't think of mine now. What has been your biggest failure in life? And what was the last thing you failed at?
Oh, shit. Okay, this is my problem because when people ask what's your biggest regret or what's your biggest failure,
Regret and failure, 2 completely
no,
separate
I know,
things.
but I like, because I don't look at, I don't like create things in my head as if that was a failure, or if I don't have regrets. There's one regret and it's like this personal thing from years ago, which just like I've come to terms with, but it's like I don't want to say like I'm such a positive person, but like I've wired myself so I don't see things as failure and regret, but obviously there is.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, like
it's so hard, hey.
yeah, I don't even, the last thing I literally don't even know.
I think, and you can take, and like, I feel like almost failed, I'm like thinking, wait, it has to be like physical. Like it has to be like a goal that I didn't achieve. But what I can see is like I failed myself in like a past relationship for not staying true to myself.
Yeah.
So it's almost like I failed myself, but I didn't fail like doing business. I didn't fail doing the gym or anything like that. It could be like, oh, I failed a set last week, right?
Yeah.
You could think of it as that way.
I think like the first thing that comes to my mind, which I now would never look at a failure, but like I didn't like quote unquote finish acro the way that I wanted to.
Yes.
Like I failed completing that.
Yeah.
But like I did actually stand on the podium with a silver medal at the World Cup.
But again, that just goes to show the change in your perspective.
Yeah.
Because you easily, and a majority of people be like, I failed that goal. I didn't achieve it. I didn't try hard enough. This is what I could have done. Instead, you were like, oh no, like that was such a great achievement. This is how I got there. And you flip that perspective.
Or even like I didn't fail because I actually put myself first because I was in such a bad place with my health.
Yeah.
Or my whole entire career was to make Cirque du Soleil, got the opportunity, COVID got in the way. Oh, I failed it.
Yeah.
No, it actually put me on the best possible life path.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I've just done so much work to never look at things as regret or failure, which is a beautiful place to be in. And I think now knowing what I know, like I will never fail.
Yeah.
And if I do fail in other people's eyes, like I'm just going to push past that and keep moving on because I've showed myself that I can always get through failure. Yeah. And I think people might be listening to this and thinking like, okay, how did you get to that place where you can look at things that aren't failures or regrets? And I think it's the biggest thing for us has been working on ourselves, doing the inner work, and like we just every single day we constantly prove ourselves right. Yeah. Like we constantly say, okay, we're going to do this, and we do it. And it literally, we say this over and over again, it starts from the little things. It starts by making my bed every morning, doing the walk, doing the gym session that I said I would, eating healthy. Like that's where it starts. And I think people want to just bypass that and go, no, I don't need to do the little things. I just want to work on the big shit. No.
It's literally like if you just flip it into health and fitness, which is like always an easy example for me, especially, I really want to lose weight. What supplements do I take? Okay, do you drink water? Oh, like a liter. Okay, let's go up to 3. Okay, how many times do you eat vegetables a day? Oh, like every second day. Okay, try every day. Like literally, you have to do the smallest things to build up that confidence, to build up that self-trust. Believe me, like I'm going to say like 3 years ago, I did not trust myself. I had zero confidence in myself at all. I thought everyone hated me. I thought everyone judged me. I actually still have that thoughts come up quite regularly now. I was about to say, we did have this conversation yesterday, actually.
Hold on.
But I can pull myself out of it and I'm aware of it. And that is the biggest difference. So I voiced it straight away. I literally left like my friendship group and I said, sorry, I was like, I feel like this person hates me. She was like, what the fuck you on about? And I was like, I literally build up in my mind sometimes that people hate me for absolutely no reason, but I'm aware of it and I'm like, I can pull myself up on it. And that is the biggest difference. Your thoughts aren't just going to automatically leave your mind. It literally is now you can just work through them at a faster rate. Exactly the same, let's say with body image. Maybe something used to come up for me and I would act upon it. I would be like, okay, I'm starting a diet tomorrow. I'm like so self-conscious, whatever. I need to go for a run. I need to cardio. Now those thoughts may come up and it's like, okay,
I'm going to eat all my dinner and I'm going to have dessert and then I'm going to show up tomorrow and go
I'm
to
like,
the gym.
Why am I feeling this way?
Yeah.
What triggered it yesterday or this morning for me to feel this way? Okay, cool. Put 2 and 2 together. Let's not let that happen again. It's being self-aware.
I think from there what happened was I started to open up about my experience, and I think it was shortly after I got back, so maybe early or late 2014, I did a YouTube video. I don't know why I decided to, I don't know, I think I was trying to dabble in YouTube.
I feel like everyone has
Everyone
at
was trying
some
to
point.
yeah, at some point. And but I think it was because Instagram at the time, especially without reels and stuff like that, you couldn't really get deep on Instagram, right? Whereas I felt like with the YouTube, I was like, I'll sit down, I'll just talk about it. And I opened up in this video about these binge eating patterns that I picked up from restrictive eating and just the way that I felt about my body, and was really honest about what I'd been through. Through doing that, like the amount of messages I got, and it was really scary to do because I was like, a client's going to be weird about this, like is my agency going to be weird about this? But like I reassured, like my Australian agency knew I wasn't talking about them. And that the pressure wasn't coming from them. But I was still a bit like, oh, people are going to be like, because also I live in a size 8 body, and a lot of people look at that and think, you know, you look healthy. Like there's nothing, what are you going to complain about? Like, how do you have body image issues?
Yeah.
What? And I get it totally. Because I'm in the modeling industry, so obviously I'm like accepted enough in society to do that. So I totally understand. But I think what I learned, especially when I was in New York, I was in one particular class where 3 Victoria's Secret angels walked in. And at the time I was like, holy fucking shit, like
That
these
would
are my
be
idols.
wild.
And they were just picking apart themselves in the mirror, like fully just like that
And no
Mean
one
Girls
sees
scene.
that. So you to
No.
see that fully behind the scenes.
Yeah. And it was sad. It was really eye-opening to me though, because I was like, these are these women that we put on this platform of like literal perfection, and even they're not happy with themselves. And I think that was a bit of a like, oh, that's interesting moment for me, in that like I don't think no matter what anyone looks like or whatever, you just don't know what's mentally going on and the way that they look at themselves or see their body. So yeah, I just started to be a little bit more open about it, and more people reached out. And at first I thought it was just going to be some of my friends in the industry, like Laura, one of them, my best mate and business partner. We touched base when we both got back because she did a little bit of traveling for modeling too, and she went through something similar. I thought it was going to be more people like her that were going to reach out and be like, oh, same. And there was friends from the industry who reached out, but it was also my wider community of people outside of the industry, outside of like having a social following, being like, oh my God, this is exactly what I'm going through. I feel so seen, blah, 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 blah. And that for me, I was like, holy shit, this is affecting everyone. And no one was talking about it back then. Like
It's only come so far in the last few years,
Yeah.
honestly, not even close back then.
so taboo, I
Yeah.
think, and like also super shameful. Like if someone had an eating disorder in high school, which unfortunately the rates of that are so much higher than it was when I was in high school now, devastating. But even back then, it was so like no one wanted, like you couldn't bring it up with them, couldn't talk about it. It
I
was really
felt
like,
the same,
you know?
but in terms of mental health.
Yeah.
Like you could never speak about it.
Yeah.
It's just
So it's, I mean,
bizarre.
it's great. Like obviously
Yeah.
we're trying to have more open conversations about it now, and hopefully people can, because I think the moment that I started being honest with myself and the moment I started telling people, even though they weren't like trying to keep me accountable, it was like, okay, my dirty little secret's out.
Yeah.
So now I really need to work through this.
Yeah.
And I also really, I've always really cared and been super grateful for the people that follow me. And so when all these, you know, young women were messaging me saying that they felt the same, I was like, okay, I don't just need to do this for me. I'm responsible now, like, for what I put out there, and I really need to do it for them too. Like, I felt like I owed them. I have lost parts of myself, and I'm trying to like rechannel like 16, 15-year-old Steph. Whereas 20 to 25-year-old Steph wasn't fully sure on who she wanted to be or who she was like on any given day. I think I tried to wear a lot of different hats and personalities and just fit in with whoever I was hanging out with at the time. And that's fine, because I think through that I realized who are the people I actually want to be surrounded with, who are the people that I leave a catch up with and I feel awesome, what are the jobs that make me feel really fulfilled. And then my passion for kick obviously just grew as well through that time. And you speak to everyone from each like decade. They're like, you Your 30s are your best years of your life. Your 40s are your best years of your life. Fuck that. Your 50s are your best years of your life. Like, I think what happens is you just get to know yourself more and more as you get older. You realize exactly where you want to go, what you want to do, how to prioritize your time. And so life
just gets better.
I mean, there's challenges, obviously. Every phase of life has its challenges. But yeah, I don't have a fear of aging just because I have loved getting older. I feel like I'm getting wiser. I'm a better person. Like, I don't know.
No, I totally love that. I agree with that.
Food is a massive joy in my life, and I stripped myself of that joy just for too long. And so, you know, I slowly kind of reintroduced it. I now have probably like 6 blocks of marvelous creations in my pantry right now. And I have a row almost every day. And sometimes it's more than that. Sometimes I don't have any, but like more often than not, I have at least a row a day. And again, now even if I do have more than that, or if I have my girlfriends over and we're just like gorge on delicious food, I no longer feel like, oh, fuck, I either A, have to punish myself tonight for this, or like get up the next day and like double my workout, which is how I used to treat it. And then I'd say the last thing is just being honest. If anything ever felt off, like if I ever felt like, okay, I've had like 3 weeks straight now of really bad body image days, nothing switching. I'm like so unmotivated. I feel like shit. I don't feel comfortable in my own body. I'm like, my relationship with food, something's happening. I'll check in with loved ones. I'll talk about it. I'll be open about it. And that even just saying it out loud helps me kind of work through it. And I think more often than not, it doesn't even come from me trying to look different. It's like something else stressful is going on in my life. And because that's kind of falling wayside, I then just like feel shit about myself. And because for such a long part of my career, that was so attached to the way I look, it's like easy for it to creep back in. But I think I'm just quicker at catching it. You know, if I'm looking in the mirror and I'm having a bad body image day, I'll just quickly catch myself and be like, okay, if my girlfriend was standing here right now, like those Victoria's Secret angels were, and picking themselves apart like I'm doing right now, what would I say to her? Like, I'd be like, shut up.
Yeah.
I wish I had your hair, or like, you look great, or like. This is something Laura loves to say, and whilst it's quite morbid, it is such a good quote. At the end of the day, when someone stands up and does your eulogy when you die, they're not going to be like, she had a great thigh gap, she had awesome abs. Like, you know, they just won't. They'll be like, she was a really lovely person. They'll just say things about your personality. And I think as I'm getting older, that's what I'm trying to focus more and more on, is being the best version of myself. And that doesn't include what I look like.
Once you go through challenges is when you really strengthen your spirituality, because it's all about, you know, self-trust and learning about different things. And I just remember being open to a different way of learning. There has been various things, like, for example, when I had my miscarriage, and that was a really hard time, and I used spirituality to get through that time as an anchor. You know, and used a lot of tools. So there has been other moments like that through the 6 years that has strengthened it, because I think it's not like you know how people talk about a spiritual awakening?
Yes.
And it's like, it's not like this one moment you're like, spiritual awakening, I know everything, my third eye's open, I can levitate. It's not really, well, it could be. I don't want to say it's not like that. But for me, it hasn't been like that. It has been really small moments, continuously learning, opening up, trusting myself. And it's very, beautiful saying of like, new level, new devil. So even if I'm like, I've been through this before, why is this limiting belief come up? Why is this thought pattern come up? But it's not because I'm not through that. It's just I'm at a new level. I'm in a new area of my life where I need to strengthen that. So angel numbers, they say, are basically guides, messages from whether you believe that you have, you know, one guide, a family of guide, the universe is guiding you, whatever you believe in. I think it's all the same thing. We all just have different labels for it. And I feel like angel numbers are beautiful, but they're really one very small slice of the pie. Yeah. And I feel like it's a very beautiful entryway into spirituality. It's also a bit fun. Like it's super fun. It's super, it can feel like a coincidence, and then things start happening and it can feel very like special and magical. So I love angel numbers. I just think it's also being careful. I don't let angel numbers rule my life. I still use my intuition. So, for example, we can go through the meanings of each angel number, which is incredible. But I always have a rule where it's like, it's not or you might, let's say you're like, oh, if I see a butterfly, I'm going to break up with my boyfriend, something like that. It's not you actually seeing the butterfly. It's you, what's the gut reaction of, oh, no, I don't want to. Or, oh, thank God I saw the butterfly. That's what I personally go off, even with angel numbers. And then I do think it is interesting when you see a certain number quite a few times. Highly recommend looking up the meaning. But it's always, what does the meaning feel like to you? Not, it means this. You should break up with them. You should not, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You already know your whole life path. You've actually picked your whole life path. You've chosen the challenges to shape you. You've chosen your soul family. You've chosen everything. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. So I truly believe us seeing the numbers, they're correct because we know what's coming.
And I feel like because like deep down you knew.
Yeah.
Like subconsciously you're looking for
your subconscious knows.
Yes.
And that's why it's coming up, because it's like, they say we actually use like 5% of our brains or 5% of our consciousness. So it's like the subconscious, the soul of you who knows the path, who's picked it, everything like that is giving yourself the guidance, which is so comforting if you think of it.
Yeah. I like the way you explained that.
Yeah. So that's how I feel about angel numbers. It's almost like outside reflection of what you already internally know.
That's a really good way to put it.
It can be a bit hard sometimes.
Yeah. But almost sometimes like external, it's that validation outside of you, which is sometimes what you need to like push you over the edge.
Yeah. A lot of time, especially with manifesting and angel numbers, it's like people see them and they expect life to just like change or move but it's like you're the one creating your own life. You create your own reality. And if you keep seeing it, it's like, change is coming, but are you doing anything to make that change come?
Yeah.
Or are you staying stuck and wanting things to move? The angel numbers, manifesting, vision boards, it's one tiny slice of the pie. There's a lot of other things that need to be happening for a manifestation to actually come into your life. So again, it's like you can't just be like, oh, angel numbers, amazing, I'm going to be rich.
Yeah.
It's not how
really
it works.
work like that.
Yeah. So if you keep seeing it, I'd be asking you, what are you ignoring? When you ignore internal nudges, it gets louder. Things start getting...
That's the quote I put in my story.
The universe will start throwing you things where you're like, what the hell is happening? And it's like, well, I've told you this quite a few times in a smaller way, so I'm going to start throwing you some bigger things so you actually change, so you move.
Yeah. I'm going to read the quote that I put up this morning because it's literally that.
Tell us.
It was, the universe will softly tell you that something isn't a good fit for you. People, places, careers, social circles, it will gradually turn up the volume until you hear it. Eventually, if you continue to refuse to listen, it will violently remove you.
Yes.
And I was like,
That's so good.
That was me.
And you will be like,
year.
why is this happening to me? Like very victim, like,
yes.
But it's like, if you actually look, I guarantee you there's so many nudges. There's so many like, come on.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, and you've ignored it and that's okay. But it's just realizing that the universe is always guiding you.
I think what you said there too is like, whether you've chosen a career because of your parents or because of society, you will constantly put yourself out. Like, for example, like you just said, you were partying, you were drinking, and you were trying to ignore what you really wanted for maybe protecting yourself or your family or society, whatever it was. And you'll start to like almost outsource your feelings to something that doesn't align with you.
Yeah, I was very much, and I was binge eating. Like I was doing anything to feel something or like numb myself because I didn't get that from myself. Whereas now I don't experience any of those things. And people are like, oh, how did you stop binge eating? I was like, oh, I got back into alignment, got happier, which I know is not like, people like, I want to, they want the health related steps, but I'm like, oh no, I just got happier.
It's self-trust as well. Like you just knew how to trust yourself. You had confidence in yourself as well.
I don't need to overeat because I know I can get what I want when I want. You have to define what abundance and wealth means to you. So for example, to me, abundance just means I have choices. growing up, I really felt like my parents were controlled by money and they didn't make the choice they wanted to. They made the choice they felt like they had to because of money. So true wealth to me feels like freedom and choices where I'm not deciding because of the money. I'm deciding because it feels soul aligned. So again, that's how I run my life with wealth and abundance. Like I've made some like huge business deals, property deals, fully off intuition that haven't logically made sense. But I'm like, no, it just feels right. And I trust that my financial advisor honestly hates me. But they have worked out so well because I see money as energy. I don't see it as just figures. And so for example, when I'm making a financial choice, so let's say, you know, and also a big value, I know my values, and a big value of mine is family. That's my top value, my husband and my daughter, Ivy, who's 2.5. And so if I am, let's say I'm like, oh, I want to make X amount of money or anything like that, which I don't do that anymore. But let's say that, well, I'd be like, well, is that encroaching with family time? Is that encroaching with choices? Because choices, freedom, family time are my values. So that's always going to take priority. So I wouldn't then overwork or go into burnout or not see my family because that just doesn't make sense to me. Money is just an energy exchange. So when you spend money, you're not losing it. You're saying, I would rather have less $5 in my bank if it meant I don't have to drive to the store.
Yeah.
And when you look at it that way, you're like, yeah, that feels really good to me. So I'm going to make that choice.